Republican Congressman Michael Grimm is now facing a host of federal criminal charges. You may remember Congressman Grimm. He's the New York lawmaker who made national headlines in January when he threatened a TV reporter on camera. The reporter had asked him about a federal investigation into potential campaign finance violations.
Let me be clear to you. You have to do that to me again. I'll turn you over.
I wanted to ask you. Why? It's a valid question.
I'm telling you no, you're not married. You're not married.
Grimm later apologized for his threat, but this morning, the congressman surrendered to FBI agents over another investigation. He's now facing a 20-count federal indictment. The charges range from mail and tax fraud to perjury and obstruction. It all stems from Grimm allegedly hiding more than $1 million in sales and wages from his New York health food restaurant.
He could run his business legitimately and honestly, or he could succumb to the lure of easy money and try and cheat his way to success. And Michael Grimm made the choice to go from upholding the law to breaking it. And in so doing, he turned his back on every oath he had ever taken.
Today, Congressman Grimm pled not guilty and vowed to stay in office. Joining me now is former U.S. Attorney Kendall Coffee and Dana Milbank. Thank you both for being here.
Hi, Reverend.
Hey, thanks, Reverend.
Dana, an amazing turn in the story for Mr. Grimm. What's your reaction?
Well, I think it's interesting that the company he ran was called Healthalicious because he's left his party in a very unappetizing position right now. As a legal matter, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
As a political matter, that's another story. He already had difficulty going into this. Now he's basically stuck on the ballot. There's really no practical way to get rid of him in November, so that's going to makes it likely the Republicans lose that seat in New York. And also follows.
It is a swing district because
yes.
They can't replace him on the ballot, and it's not a solid red district in New York.
Exactly. He was vulnerable to losing anyway. He was sort of swept in with the tide in 2010, as a lot of people were. So he was vulnerable anyway, but even beyond his seat, you now have the congressman who's out because he bought cocaine here in Washington. You've got the kissing congressman. You've got this. Now it begins to develop a sort of narrative that may make it trouble for some of his Republican colleagues.
Okay, before
as well.
I go into all of the politics, though, Kendall, today the congressman denied any wrongdoing and claimed he was being targeted in a witch hunt. Watch this.
Since day one, the press has been fed all types of innuendos and accusations to support, and let me be very clear, a political witch hunt. And this political witch hunt was designed to do a couple of things, but first and foremost, assassinate my character and remove me from office. I know I'm a moral man, a man of integrity.
Now, Kendall, he's facing, if convicted, he could face some pretty serious times, up to 20 years for each mail and wire fraud charge, up to 10 years for health care fraud, up to 5 years for conspiring to defraud the United States, up to 3 years for fraudulent tax returns and for obstructing and impeding the IRS, up to 6 months for employing unauthorized aliens. This looks serious. You are U.S. Attorney. How serious is this?
It's incredibly serious, and it suggests that when he was physically threatening this reporter, you recall that he said it was a stress relating to Hurricane Sandy. Well, it wasn't a hurricane named Sandy. It was a restaurant named Healthalicious that had him pretty stressed because with everything that they have in the indictment, you've almost got to take out your calculator to guesstimate the potential prison exposure. And it's very well documented, Reverend. I mean, they're talking about major amounts of cash that he did not report, cash payments he then made to employees, in some instances, employees that did not have a legal status. So It's a long list of charges, very serious ones. And he's coming out firing, claiming he's going to fight it tooth and nail. He's going to be vindicated. His attorneys are accusing the government of abuse of power, political vendettas. Some of that's predictable. But if he's in for a long fight, he needs to know they've got plenty of evidence. And for all the tough talk today, I'm going to be surprised if at some point they don't come hat in hand to the prosecutors and utter those immortal words, let's make a deal, if we can.
So you think ultimately that the congressman and his lawyers will try to make a deal because of the seriousness of these charges?
Yeah, the potential prison exposure, and under the guidelines it's going to be much less, but theoretically it's between 240 and 260 years. A lot of counts. They seem to have lined up a lot of witnesses, and I think this seems to be the smoking gun, they've got a spreadsheet, an electronic spreadsheet of a second set of payroll records. How is he going to explain that? And it's the payroll records that weren't given to the IRS, that weren't given to New York taxing authorities or to the workers' compensation. Hence, lots of charges, plenty of trouble explaining all of this.
Dana, let me go back to something you referred to. Some on the right are questioning the timing of the indictment. Just after the April 10th deadline for filing the run in the fall federal elections, they're saying because the deadline had passed, they knew that they couldn't have replaced him as a Republican candidate, and therefore Charlie Cook's political report has switched his rating on Grimm's district from lean Republican to lean Democratic. I mean, what is the political fallout of these charges?
Well, look, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. That's a very serious allegation to say that an indictment was politically motivated. You have to remember he is a former FBI official and a Marine, so it's basically suggesting that the FBI is going after one of its own for a politically motivated thing. So that's a little bit questionable.
Is it not, though, even though when you referred to him and others that are Republicans in the House that are not running or that have problems, you still have a long way to go to regain the Democratic majority in the House, though?
Right. That's basically not on the table just because of gerrymandering the way the districts are structured. But this may blunt some of the momentum that the Republicans had. Now, if you think about this, a lot of this is all basically precedes him being elected to the House, but it's talking about hiring of undocumented aliens, and it's talking about evading taxes. So this is the sort of question other Republican candidates are going to be asked. Do they support Michael Grimm and the sorts of things he's accused of doing? That's how it can have that sort of echo effect far beyond New York.
Kendall Coffee and Dana Milbank, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thanks, Reverend.
Hey, thanks, Reverend.
One other quick note today from Congress. GOP Congressman Vance McAllister announced he will not seek re-election this fall. The Louisiana Republican made headlines after a video surfaced of him kissing a female staff member. McAllister is married and has 5 children. Today, he confirmed that he will serve out the remainder of his term, but again, will not seek re-election.